So good afternoon again. Now we have come to the last technical session of the NAAC sponsored national workshop on teaching, learning and research in the perspective of NAAC RAF. For this session, we have with us Dr. Ann Baby, Assistant Professor of Computer Science, Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, Ernakulam. She completed her PhD in Computer Science from Bharathiar University, Coimbatore, and is a rank holder for MCA from the same university. She has served as the faculty mentor for the second runner-up team at AICTE Smart India Hackathon 2019 at Guwahati for the Ministry of Statistics and Programmed Implementation, Government of India. And also she was a faculty trainer for the Management Development Program on Decision-Making Skills for Dubai Port World in 2009. She was also the faculty trainer for project management in the MDP Global Business Leadership Skill Training course conducted for senior managers of NEAC Communication Systems, Japan in 2008. She has also coordinated a good number of seminars, conferences, and FDPs. She has also been a resource person for various international and national events, including Virtual Hackathon at Concordia University, Chicago, and several others. We are really privileged to have you, ma'am, with us in this workshop to deliver a lecture on innovations and best practices in higher education institutions. On behalf of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Bishop Moore College, Mavelikara, I extend to you, ma'am, a warm welcome. And now I invite you for your lecture. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. This is the problem when internet is available to all and all your details are publicly available in all domains. Anyway, that was a good introduction. Thank you. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Is my PPT visible?
Yeah, it's visible there.
Okay. A very good afternoon to all the participants. I know it is an afternoon session, a very drowsy session, as it usually will be, and you've been attending sessions back to back, but I'll be really crisp and to the point with regards to criteria 7. And I believe that all of you have been listening to sessions from yesterday on the various criteria. The organizers, they've told me to focus on criteria 7, especially with main relevance to the RAF. So I will be talking point by point with respect to each of the metric in criteria 7. And I will be talking about each metric. And when I talk about each metric, in case you have any query regarding the metric, you can post your queries in the chat box. At the end of the session, I would be taking up each query and then answering it. So as we all know, NAAC, it is catering to function in a very dynamic environment. And the core values of NAAC, as we've been listening from yesterday, the main is to contribute to national development where we can adapt to changes and at the same time achieve the goals and objectives of a higher education institution. Another one would be fostering global competencies among students by looking into the best practices of institutions. Now, when we look into each and every core value of NAAC, they have a very major contribution to each and every metric of criteria 7. If we again look into the third core value of NAAC, inculcating a value system among students, it is in portraying and giving values to students where there is an absence of a value system. It deals with many things, including cultural pluralities, diversities, varied social, cultural, economic, environmental realities, and so on. And that is when NAAC came up with a word called inclusiveness, to inculcate a value system among students. The same way NAAC even has a core value called promoting the use of technology. So when we look into technology, technology is being used in and around. But NAAC even gives importance to the marginalized. That is when NAAC has a metric which talks about the Divyangan people. how are the Divyangan people or the disabled, when we talk in a layman terms, how do they benefit from the technology, and what is the contributions of HEIs to promote the use of technology, innovations, and such things to the marginalized people. And the last core value of NAAC is the quest for excellence. How does a higher education institute contribute to the nation building skills, the development of students, turning it into centers of excellence and all? And that is why, again, NAAC has a metric called best practices and distinctiveness. So when you look into each and every core value of NAAC, they directly contribute to criteria 7. If you look into NAAC as a nutshell, you do have 7 criteria. You do have several key indicators, and each key indicator is a collection of several metrics. Now, if we look into criteria 7, NAAC has very beautifully framed the criteria 7. Criteria 1, it looks into teaching learning. Criteria 2, it looks into evaluation. 3 into research. 4 into infrastructure. 5 into student progression. 6 into governance, and the values, sustainability, social responsibilities, distinctiveness, best practices. NAAC has coined all these terms very beautifully, and they have created a separate criteria called criteria 7, where all the things which have not been taken care of in all the other 6 criteria are perfectly coined, put together, and given very much adequate importance in the criteria 7. So if you look at the key indicators, or we can say KIs of criteria 7, we basically have 3. 7.1, which looks into institutional values and social responsibilities. We have 7.2, which looks into best practices, and 7.3, which looks into institutional distinctiveness. Now, if we look into each and every metric, 7.1, it is divided into 11 metrics, out of which we do have several QLMs and QNMs. As all of you are very familiar, QLM is a qualitative metric where you will have to do a writing, and QNM is a quantitative metric where you would be giving numbers or data. And if you look into criteria 7, it is a combination of QLMs and QNMs with different weightages. Now, if you look into the weightage portion, 7.1.1, it has 7.1.1 till 7.1.11 totally, it has a weightage of 50. It has a weightage of 50. 7.2 and 7.3, they together again constitute another 50, which gives you a total weightage of 100. So if you look into the points or the marks, a total of 100 fours of 400 points come out from criteria 7, which means it is equally important like all the other criteria. Again, criteria 7 is a criteria where institutions can score high marks. The interesting thing is, alike it is for universities, autonomous colleges, and affiliated UG, PG, or constituent colleges. This is a bit different for other criteria, like, when you talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. The weightages, they differ from universities to autonomous colleges and to affiliate colleges. But interestingly, NAAC has given adequate importance of a weightage of 100 for all the institutions across the country, and that shows the importance NAAC is giving for the criteria 7. Another very interesting analysis of criteria 7 is majority of the metrics in criteria 7 is qualitative. If you look, 73% of the weightage, it comes from QLMs, while only 27% of the weightage comes from QNM. And this again shows the importance of the QLM, the writing styles and the documentation for criteria 7. Not only that, as you all know, QNMs, they are assessed by the DVV, and QLMs, they are assessed by the PTV, by the peer team when they come for the visit to the individual institutions. So criteria 7 plays a major role when the peer team comes down to visit the institutions. Now we will be looking into each and every metric in detail. As I told you earlier, when we go through each metric, if you have any doubts, you can post it then and there, because by the time we reach 7.3, you might be forgetting what is in 7.1.1. So to overcome that, the moment you have a doubt, just shoot it up in the chat box and I will take it up at the end of the session. Now 7.1.1, it looks into institutional values and social responsibilities. Now, as I told you, 7.1, it has things ranging from 7.1.1 to 1.11, and they look into several pressing issues like gender equity, human values, environment consciousness, sustainability, the sustainability development goals, the inclusiveness of the marginalized, and the social responsibilities. Now let's go into 7.1.1. 7.1.1 deals with gender equity. It asks the institution the measures initiated for the promotion of gender equity during the last 5 years, and it has a Q, as I told you, there's a QLM, and it has a weightage of 5. Now, you might be wondering what all can be written inside this, and what all are the proofs which can be submitted to the NAAC when you submit your SSR. So as I was given instructions from the organizers, I will be focusing on that area. What all can you include in this? What all are the proofs you can submit? And what all are the questions you might expect on each and every metric? So when they talk about gender equity, very clearly they've written, you need to submit a gender sensitization action plan. Now you might be wondering, what's that? In institutions, you should be having a gender equity cell. Gone are the days of women's cell, because now it is not only the women who need equity. You have men, you have women, you even have the third gender. So no longer it is a women's cell or a women's club and all that. It is gender equity cell. So you can have a gender equity cell, which comes up in the beginning of the academic year with a list of chartered out programs which can be conducted by various departments in the institutions and the community which they could be catering. And at the end of the academic year, you can take an action taken report, and then you can have a feedback and follow up of how many of the programs were conducted, how many beneficiaries did you have, why weren't a few programs conducted, and what can be planned for the next day. That is exactly what NAAC means by annual gender sensitization plan. And then you can be even giving proofs of your facilities, like you can be having safety, security, counseling rooms, common rooms. You can be having daycare centers. You can be having a creche over there. You can have a common room for the girls. You can have a sick room for the women. You can even have toilets for the transgenders. If you have a nurse, you can be highlighting that. You can be conducting gender audits in the college, gender audits in the community. If you have a counseling center in the college, you can be giving masked psychiatry reports. You can be submitting the proofs of your full-time counselors, their services available. If you remember in criteria 1, they very clearly ask about the courses which have been designed with respect to gender equity. Those can be highlighted over here. The dissertations conducted in the college, the field studies conducted in the college with respect to gender, community programs conducted with respect to gender, programs undertaken by the college with respect to transgenders, with respect to the marginalized genders in the society. You can be having your gender equity cell minutes, the meeting reports, the various programs conducted in the college, and so on. So if all these things are systematically arranged and submitted in your SSR, that's a weightage of 5. So that is 7.1.1 gender equity. I believe all of you have got enough data with regard to 7.1.1. We'll move on to, we've talked about all this. We'll move on to 7.1.2, which beautifully talks about environment consciousness and sustainability. It is a QNM, and it has a weightage of 5. So those of you who have gone through the SSR, you can know that it is just check boxes. And if you check 4 or all of the above, you get a full weightage of 5. And then if a tick goes lesser, the weightage will go lesser. So they're asking of the alternate sources of energy and energy conservation measures. These are one of the few questions which have been beautifully framed, even though SDG came later. With respect to SDG, we can always be connecting all these kind of questions, like solar energy. Do you have solar panels installed in your college? Do you produce electricity from them? Do you have a biogas plant? And is it connected to your kitchens? Are you using it as an alternate source of energy? Is it being wheeled to the grid? Do you have sensor-based energy measures over there? It could either be a sensor-based tap or a sensor-based door, sensor-based lights, sensor-based air conditions or urinals and all that. And are you using LED bulbs, power efficient equipment and all that? You can be given bills of all these, photographs, newspaper cuttings of all these. With respect to wheeling to the grid, if you're connected to the state electricity board, you should be submitting documents from the state electricity board. You should be even submitting your electricity board bills where you have a minus amount and even a check which you get from the state electricity board to show that money is being given to the institution with regards to energy production. So this is 7.1.2, which talks very clearly about alternate sources of energy. And this is how geotagged photographs should look like. As you all know, in criteria 7, they give importance to geotagged photos, which should very clearly have the place name, the state name, the country, the longitude, the latitude, and the day it was taken. So this is how a geotagged photo will look like. There are several apps on the phones where you can be taking geotag photos, and even nowadays all digital cameras, they are equipped with geotag markers. The next is 7.1.3, which is a QLM on waste management and has a weightage of 4. It asks about the facilities for various degradable and non-degradable waste and how it is managed. Now, if you look, NAAC has very clearly detailed all the type of wastes which can come in an institution. It could be solid waste, liquid waste, biomedical, e-waste. Then you ideally should be having a water recycling system. And if you are having any radioactive waste and hazardous chemicals, how do you manage it? For example, solid waste management, you can do it with the help of your biogas plants. You can have incinerators. Liquid waste management, you can have a sewage treatment plant. Biomedical waste management, you can be having your own kind of policies for that. E-waste management, what is the procedure followed in the institution? Do you have a waste management committee which looks into all of these? Do you have a policy regarding each type of waste? Do you have MOUs with any local bodies for the management of the waste? Do you have any glass crushing units? Do you have any plastic recycling units in the college? Do you have shaft cutters? Do you have pressers? Do you conduct waste audits in the college? Do you conduct waste audits in the community? What are the awareness programs you conduct for students with regard to waste management? Do you conduct waste management awareness programs to the nearby community, to the panchayats? So all these can come under extension and outreach activities. The next is 7.1.4, which talks about water conservation. It is a QNM with a weightage of 4. This also is a check. 4 or above, you get a full mark. You decrease each, your weightage goes lesser. Do you have a rainwater harvesting unit? Do you have a bore well or an open well? Do you have tanks and bunds? Do you have a wastewater recycling unit? And do you maintain water bodies in the campus? You should be having, as I told you earlier, a sewage treatment plant, preferably, because once you have that, many of the questions can be taken care of. There should be a water usage policy, a committee which looks into that, a committee which has an analysis of the usage of water, the groundwater rates in the college, and so on. The next is a QNM 7.1.5, which has a weightage of 5. This is also a very interesting QNM, which talks about green campus initiatives. It looks into restricted entry of automobiles, use of bicycles or battery-powered vehicles, pedestrian-friendly pathways, ban on the use of plastic, and landscaping with trees and plants. Again, these are check boxes. All of the above, you get a full point, or else your marks decrease. Now, for each of these, NAAC very clearly says you need geotag photos or videos. You should be having policy documents and circulars. For example, restricted entry of automobiles. Do you have a policy in college, like, from a particular time, from 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock in the evening, entry of vehicles inside the main campus is restricted? Do you have a policy like that? Do you circulate it to the students? Are the students aware of it? Does the institution own bicycles? Do they own battery-powered vehicles? And is it available for use for the students and for the faculty? Do you have pedestrian-friendly pathways? Do you have a policy on the ban on the use of plastic? How is it implemented? What are the strategies taken in the institution so that plastic can be banned? What are the initiatives taken by the institution to give an awareness of such things to the students and to the community? With respect to landscaping, do you have an environment club or a green club or a club similar to that lines? What are the programs conducted by them? How do they play a role in maintaining the greenness of the campus, and so on? So this comes under the metric 7.1.5. As I told earlier, it focuses on the policy documents. You should be having a monitoring committee to look into all that. The various decisions taken by the committee, time to time, the action taken report, and the activities done by the committee, both for the students and in the community. The next is 7.1.6, which talks about the various quality audits conducted in the institution. It is again a QNM with 5 weightage. Again, it is a checkbox. Have you conducted a green audit? Do you conduct an energy audit with regard to all the appliances in the college? The air conditions, the generators, the lights, and all that. Do you conduct an environment audit with respect to how all these equipments, they harm the environment, how the vehicles in the college, their carbon emission, how much impact does it have on the environment? All these audits, be it the green audit, energy audit, and the environment audit, they should be performed by a certified energy auditor. Have you obtained any clean and green campus recognitions or awards? Again, this is a point where many institutions, they lose marks. Clean and green campus recognitions and awards, only awards which are given by the government are appreciated by NAAC. You can always try your luck by giving a local recognition or an award, but the DBB would simply push it away into the dustbin, because only governments given by, let's say, the Swachh Ministry, the MHRD, the Government of India, only those kind of awards and recognitions are acceptable by the DBB. And the last is, again, a very interesting thing, beyond the campus environmental promotional activities. What do you do for the society? What all programs are conducted by the college to the community around you, so that they get an idea about the various energy initiatives, the environmental initiatives, and so on. So if all of these are there, it is sure that you get a 5 weightage. The next is 7.1.7, which focuses on the Divyangan, disabled friendliness. Does the institution provide a barrier-free environment? Do you have ramps and lifts to the classrooms so that people on wheelchair or people with disability, they can easily reach? The lifts you have, do they have braille script on it? Do you have disabled friendly washrooms where people can take in their wheelchairs, park it inside the washrooms, and then use the toilet? Do you have ample signage? Do you have assistive technology like a Divyangan friendly website or screen reading software? Do you have wheelchairs, mechanized equipments in the institution? Do you have ample provision for inquiry and information? Do you have a human assistance over there? Do you have readers? Do you give scribes for examinations? Do you have soft copies of all the reading material in the library? Do you have screen reading software? So this is what 7.1.7 focuses. Preferably in institutions, there should be a committee which looks after Divyangan students. You can have a Divyangan committee which can frame an admission policy for the Divyangan. Do you give preference for Divyangan students? You can even have an examination policy regarding the rules and procedures for assigning a scribe. What is the grace mark which can be given to students? You can always follow the rules of the parent university. You should be having brochures which talks about the facilities which are given to Divyangan students. The IQAC and the institution, they should be having the details of all the Divyangan students which are admitted in each academic year. And the software made available in the college should be based on the requirements of the Divyangan students who are admitted each and every year. Do you have a slot designated in the parking area for Divyangan students? Do you have skill development programs for the Divyangan students in your college? What are the initiatives done from the college to the community for the Divyangan people? Do you have an inclusive environment? Are they made to participate in all the programs in the college? Do you give any skill development programs for your Divyangan students? So NAAC very clearly focuses highly on the disabled students and in how to make it a Divyangan friendly campus. So that was criteria 7's metric 7.1.7. Then we have 7.1.8, which talks about inclusion and situatedness. This is a QLM, which has a weightage of 5. And interestingly, if you look, we do have 3 QLMs which come in the same flavor. You have 7.1.8, you have 7.1.9, which talks of the human values and professional ethics, again a QLM with weightage 4. And we even have 7.1.11, which talks about the celebration of national and international commemorative days, events, and festivals. Now, 7.1.8, 1.9, and 1.11, it will take into account all the activities done in the college. It can be activities accumulated from the departments, from the various clubs, from the various live labs. And what you can do is gather all these activities together and then put it in 3 baskets of 7.1.8, 1.9, and 1.11. Now, to focus upon 7.1.8, NAAC very clearly talks about 5 points. Tolerance and harmony towards cultural, regional, linguistic, communal, socio-economic, and other diversities. So when programs are conducted in the college, you should be seeing that all these are covered. None of these points should be left out, because that would inversely vary with the weightage you get. Okay, so adequate importance should be given to each of these 5. Like for example, when you talk about cultural, like if you have foreign students, you can have a Korean day, a German day, an Afghan day. Regional, again, if you're having students from different states, you can have days designated to each state. You can have Pick Mackay programs which focus upon the cultural richness of each state or each area. Linguistic, you can have a Malayalam day of the language, like Malayalam day, a Hindi day, a Telugu day, a Tamil day, and all that. You can think about the poets of each language, and then you can have days designated to each. You can then have programs, communal, socio-economic, like relief works which you do to the community, health camps which you conduct, mentoring for the prison inmates, community teaching, programs which are conducted for the Anganwadis, other diversities like for the elders, for the marginalized, the sponsorships organized from the college, programs which come under the UNICEF, career guidance which you do for the community. All those programs can be clubbed under 7.1.8, which looks into cultural, regional, linguistic, communal, and other diversities. Now, the beauty of the 7.1.8 is, just like any QLM, you should be writing it in 500 words, and you should have reports for each year. If you're going for an assessment period, for each assessment year, you should have reports which have the name of the program, the organizer, the date, the brochure, a report of the program. Preferably, if you have had taken a video, you should be having a video of the program. And again, preferably, if you have had an attendance list, you should be even producing that as the proof. So for each and every program which you list out over here, you should be having adequate proof in this manner for 7.1.8, 1.9, and 1.11. The next is 1.9, which talks on human values and professional ethics. Again, this is sensitization of students to constitutional obligations. Again, there are 4 things which the NAAC gives importance over here: values, rights, duties, and responsibilities. So, programs should be covering all these values, rights, duties, and responsibilities. For example, you can give election awareness to the students, how to use the VVPAT machines, child right laws, organ donations, right to health, right to equality, Domestic Violence Act, dowry prohibition, stay in the stigma campaigns conducted in the college, right to food, social justice programs, passport awareness programs, cyber law programs, cyber hacking. All these kind of programs which come under values, rights, duties, and responsibilities of the citizens can be included in this metric. And again, you should be having a detailed report of each program, which consists of the brochure, a report, photographs, videos if you have, attendance list if you have. The next is 7.1.10, which asks whether the institution has a prescribed code of conduct for the students, teachers, administrators, and other staff. Again, these are check boxes where they ask if the code of conduct is displayed on the website. Do you have a code of conduct committee? Does the institution conduct professional ethics programs for students? Again, 4 points focused upon over here. Programs for the students, the teachers, the administrators, and other staff. You should be having sets of programs for all of these 4 categories of people. Do you have annual awareness programs on the code of conduct? Again, for the students, for the teachers, for the administrators, and for the other staff. You should be having circulars regarding this. You should be having a code of ethics policy, the code of conduct committee, the annual meeting minutes, the action taken report, number of programs organized, reports of each and every program. All this is to be included in 7.1.10. And then we have the last metric in 7.1, the initiatives taken by the college to celebrate national, international commemorative days, events, and festivals, like the AIDS Day, the World Social Justice Day, Elderly Day, Reading Day, Yoga, Christmas, Vishu, Jal Divas, Social Work Day, Independence Day. Does the college conduct iftar parties? Do you have an Elders Day, No Horn Day, Gandhi Jayanti, Road Safety Day? Do you celebrate Ramzan? Do you have a Republic Day celebration? Do you celebrate Diwali? All these programs can come under 7.1.11. So to sum up, 7.1.11, 7.1.9, and 7.1.8 will be covering all the programs conducted by the college for the students and for the community during the assessment period. Now, if we go into 7.2, this is interestingly a QLM which has a weightage of 30. This is where several institutions, they lose their marks. Now, if you look into 7.2, the best practice, NAAC has very clearly told that it can be the practice of the institution, not only practice, it can be 2 practices. NAAC gives the option of detailing about 2 practices, BP1 and BP2, best practice 1 and 2. It should be something which is internally evolved in the institution. It has been used for some time, and currently also it is being used. As I told you earlier, for the last few years, you should have been using it, and it should have been leading to a positive impact on the regular functioning of the institution. It should not be an activity prescribed by some authority. For example, if the AICT prescribes it, you cannot say it is the best practice of your institution. If the NBA prescribes something, the university prescribes something, or your local government prescribes something, it cannot be treated as the best practice of the institution. It should be something which has been evolved from the college and is relevant at the point of time when the PTV comes down. It can be with respect to your teaching learning practices in the institution, the office practice. Some institutions, they follow paperless offices. It could be some administrative matters, organizational aspects. It can be social connects, collaborations with outside agencies, and so on. So best practices, it can be with respect to any of these. And if you go into the NAAC website also, they have given recommendations of a few best practices, like, these could be the best practices which can come up in institutions. Now, again, to write best practices, you can be following a good logic, like one best practice can be something which is internal to the institution, where the students, the faculty, and the other stakeholders inside the institution benefit out of it. That could be one best practice. Another best practice could be something which the external stakeholders like the community benefit from the institution. So this is like more of a food of thought. Like, institutions can think on this manner. One can be internal to the institution and another one could be external to the institution. There is no hard and fast rule like, how you can frame a best practice. But this is the method which we've been following over here where I've been working. So how we started off is we did a brainstorming at the department level. So if you have 20 departments in your college, 20 departments, they can do a brainstorming where they can come out with might be N best practices which they find is giving a positive impact to their department. And then once the department level brainstorming is over, you can come to an institutional level brainstorming where you will have come out with a several number of best practices, out of which you will be handpicking might be say a 4 or 5 best practices, which could be common to majority of the departments. And at the end of the day, what you can do is out of these 4 or 5, you can take the best out of the bestest and then claim it to be your BP1 and BP2. Whichever BP1 and BP2 you select, it should follow the format which has been prescribed by the NAAC. You should have a title, the objective, why you have it, the context, how you came for it, the practice, how have you been following it in the department. Most important is the evidence of success. How can you measure it? Measurability is very important for NAAC. How can you measure the success? It should be quantifiable. The problems encountered, the resources required. So BP1 and BP2, it should be having the same format as prescribed by the NAAC. And one more thing is, it should have a common thread throughout all the departments, all the courses, or if not all department courses, at least majority of the departments and courses should have a direct linkage to BP1 and BP2. You should be having more than adequate documenting for that. And of course, it should be written in the prescribed format. The next is institutional distinctiveness, which has a weightage of 20. It should bring out a distinct attribute of an institution which can characterize the institution and which can be empowering all the stakeholders in one way or the other. And the institution should reflect this distinctiveness in all its activities, all the activities of the college. And the most important thing is it should be directly linked with the vision and mission of the institution. This is something which majority of the institutions, they leave out. They frame a very institutional, they frame very nicely distinctiveness, but it will have no linkage to the vision and mission of the institution. NAAC very clearly says the distinctiveness of an institution should be the reason for the institution coming into existence. And mind you, this is a QLM which has a weightage of 20, a single QLM which has a very high weightage. Again, as I was telling you earlier, there's no hard and fast rule. But again, this is something which we followed over here. We did a brainstorming in the vision mission level. We took into consideration each and every word in the vision and mission, and we listed out the distinctive feature in each criterion. From criterion 1 to criterion 7, we listed out the highlights of the institution with respect to each criterion. And then we aligned all these together with our vision mission. And that is how you can come out with the institutional distinctiveness. So I've just listed out a few BP1, BP2, and distinctiveness of few institutions. All these data are available on the internet. This is a St. Thomas College, Pala, where they were recently graded with an A++, 3.56. Their best practices was promotion of psychosomatic health, mental well-being, the students and the community, and value education and career development. And the institutional distinctiveness, as you all know, St. Thomas College, Palai, their alumni is a list of visionaries. So that is how they framed their institutional distinctiveness with respect to the alumni they have, and even the local, Pala is a place where a lot of rubber is grown, and then how they are helping the society with respect to the rubber growth and all that. And they were graded with A++, CGPA 3.56. Again, St. Teresa's College, which was again recently graded with a CGPA of 3.57. One of their best practice was TROP, Teresian Rural Outreach Program, something which they do for the community. And Teresian entrepreneurship, where they give a lot of training programs to their students to be entrepreneurs. And the institutional distinctiveness was fostering art and creativity for lifelong learning. St. Saviour's College, Palayam Kottai in Tamil Nadu, run by Jesuit fathers, they also came up with a high score of A++ 3.66, where this particular college, it is located in a rural area, and a lot of students from the rural area, they come to this college, and one of their best practices is a very beautiful system where they have a streaming system in general English teaching for the community. A very beautiful program which they've framed. And the next BP is foundation courses for human excellence. That too has been very beautifully framed by the St. Saviour's College. The institutional distinctiveness is men and women for others, leadership through serving. Again, this is a college which does a lot of outreach activities, extension activities, and then they've clubbed all of that into their institutional distinctiveness. Very beautifully written. The next is Amrita Vishwapeedam, Vishwavidyapedam, where the BP1 is international programs for global reach, and they live in labs, experiential learning for sustainable development and innovation, employing collaborative problem-solving skills. Their distinctiveness is compassion-driven research. As you all know, Amrita is an institution which excels in research. And they've written it very beautifully, linking it to the vision, priority, and thrust of Amrita. And they came out with a very good score, the university category, 3.7. The next is Nirmala College, Muatuvura, again, which came up with a very good score of 3.73, under the one of the highest scores under the affiliated college category. And one of their best practices is DigiCampus, where they again go for a paperless office where everything is automated. They've done it very nicely. And the next BP is Nirmala Hastam, where they do outreach activities to the society. And the next is their institutional distinctiveness, which is Swachh Nirmala, where they've got several awards from the government and local bodies for the cleanliness and its maintenance in the college. The next is Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, where I work. We've been graded with A++ with the CGPA of 3.83, which is till date the highest score which any institution of India has obtained. And our best practice was pedagogical innovations for student-centric learning and evaluation, where we follow a very systematic pedagogical approach. As I was telling you, this was BP1, which was oriented internal to the institution for the students. And our second best practice was Rajagiri Center for Sustainable Livelihood, where under that we do have a lot of other bodies where we aim at giving sustainable livelihood for the community, not only training them, but even giving them a livelihood so that, they can live a decent life. So that was our BP1 and BP2. And our institutional distinctiveness was something called RILE, Rajagiri Immersive Learning Experience, a unique experience towards enriching and fulfilling life. If you look into our institutional distinctiveness, the last words, enriching and fulfilling life, that is something which we directly took from our vision and mission. So our distinctiveness, just like many other institutions have done, we were able to directly link it to our vision and mission. And that is how it should be, because vision and mission of the institution, it should be portraying your distinctiveness and vice versa. So I've come to the end of criteria 7. We've looked into 7.1.1 through 7.1.11, 7.2 best practices, and 7.3, which is institutional distinctiveness. If anybody has any questions, you can ask it, or yeah, I'll take up a question. I'll take up each question from the chat box. You could even directly shoot me questions. I'll try answering them.
So thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful session. Actually, the chat box tells us how beneficial your session was. It's filled with lots of comments on how we have benefited from your session. And actually, there are 1 or 2 questions. Shall I read
Yeah,
them
yes,
out?
ma'am. I couldn't get the questions. Too many things, and I couldn't. It would be nice if you could read it out to me, because I'm just going through it. It would be nice, ma'am, if you read it out to me. That would be easier.
Okay, ma'am. There is one question from Dr. V. Preeta. Can induction program for students be considered under annual awareness of code of conduct?
Yes, I will go to that particular slide, 7.1.10. That is talked in 7.1.10. I'll take that exactly. Okay. Annual awareness program on code of conduct are organized. Induction programs come under the 4th category, because induction program, you have it only once in a year. So it is an annual awareness program, induction program. That is where you give the code of the conduct, details about the college and all that. So that will come under annual awareness program and code of conduct. But mind you, it takes care of only one category, the student. Okay. The same way in our institution, what we follow is we have a recruitment at the end of the year. So, the same way we conduct induction programs for students, we even have induction programs for faculty. We even have induction programs for our administrative staff too. So, yes, to answer that question, yes. But, ma'am, it takes care of only the student. There are many more things which the NAAC want: teacher, administrative, and other stuff.
Okay, ma'am, I think that is clear. Now we have one more question from Joby Babu. As per the manual, the best practice is relevant mainly with the institution at a given point of time. So do we need to claim a practice inside or outside?
It has to be a best practice conducted by the college, internal and external, okay, which gives benefit to the stakeholders inside. That can be one. Another one is something which is conducted by the college, which benefits the external community of the college. Be it any, it is conducted by the college itself. Only thing is the beneficiaries are different. One is the beneficiary is the student. The other one is the beneficiary is the outside community. But be it any, the person who does it is the college itself. Again, one more thing is there is no hard and fast rule that it should be like that. Okay, it is actually something which majority of the institutions follow. One inside and one something which is done by the college to the outside community. And if you look at the grading pattern too, such best practices get more marks rather than you focus both inside or both outside. When you have an equal equilibrium to both the inside community and the outside community, it gives you better marks. Because at the end of the day, criteria 7 is all about that. how much do you do to the society? How much do you do to create a sustainable environment? A sustainable environment, it doesn't mean in the college alone. From the college, what do you do to the outside community? How do your students help the outside community? Hope that is clear, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. We have no more questions in the chat box. If anybody wishes to ask a question, you can unmute and ask your question now. If there are no more questions, I would like to propose a word of gratitude to our resource person, Dr. Anne Baby. Ma'am, you have enlightened us with your wonderful presentation based on the 7th criterion of NAAC. At the very beginning, you reminded us of the importance of abiding with the core values of NAAC. You brought out the beauty of criterion 7 by giving us an essence of the aspects of social responsibility, institutional distinctiveness, and best practices on which this criterion is based. You have made your presentation very clear by demonstrating various aspects like geotagged photos, what to focus on while documenting programs, and also the importance of having policy documents for many of the quality measures that we already follow in our institutions. We have always had our apprehensions regarding choosing our best practices. You have made your point very clear that the best practice should be internally evolved and used and leading to positive impact on the regular functioning of the institution. You have made us aware of the major role that Criterion 7 plays during the peer team visit. I am sure all the participants have benefited from your session towards the preparation of Criterion 7 for NAAC accreditation. I propose our sincere gratitude to you, ma'am, on behalf of all the participants present here, as well as the IQAC of Bishop Moore College, Mavilkara. Thank you very much, Dr. Anne Baby, and thank you all the participants.
Thank you, Bishop Moore College, for giving me an opportunity to converse with this gathering. All the best to all the institutions who are in the various phases of their NAAC. Hope you all get a very good grade. Best wishes and good luck. Thank you.
Thanks again, ma'am. A word to the participants. The feedback link is shared in the chat box. Kindly fill the feedback form. And we will be starting our valedictory session at 3:45 p.m. Thank you.
Ranjit sir. Our chief guest has joined. Welcome, Ranjit sir.
Padmudi Raj sir, we welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
We'll start immediately, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, Divya.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes.
Shall I start?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good evening, all. Welcome to the valedictory session of the two-day National Online Workshop on Teaching, Learning, and Research from the perspective of NAAC Reaccreditation Framework. We earnestly hope that the 6 sessions covering all the parameters of NAAC Reaccreditation Framework has benefited all the participants and will also help you during the preparation of the self-study report. We begin the valedictory session with a prayer song. I now invite Dr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham, Vice Principal of the College and the IQAC Coordinator, to welcome our chief guest and the participants.
Respected Principal, Dr. Jacob Chandy sir, who is presiding over this valedictory session. Dr. Padmudi Raj sir, the NAAC advisor. Dr. Lynette Joseph, the convener of this program. Dr. Nair Anup Chandrasekharan, who is proposing the vote of thanks. Principals, IQAC coordinators, faculty members from various parts of the country who are participating in this national online workshop. I am extremely glad to welcome you all to this online valedictory session organized by Bishop Moore College for the past 2 days. We had a very fruitful and interactive session for the past two days, extending for over around 6 to 7 sessions. I am very sure that this workshop has opened the doors of quality enhancement and acquainted us with all the parameters of the revised methodology of the NAAC revised accreditation framework. Quality very often is a misnomer, meaning different things to different people in different contexts. However, I'm sure that for the past 2 days, we were able to redefine the concept of quality, and we were able to acquaint ourselves with the methodology used by NAAC to assess and accredit the higher education institutions. Now, the duty bestowed upon me is to welcome the guest to this valedictory session. The principal, Dr. Jacob Chandy sir, is presiding over this function. He has been the backbone for all the programs being organized here. And it was he who advised us on all the matters regarding organizing this program. And I'm very happy to welcome Dr. Jacob Chandy, the principal of the college, to this valedictory session. We have a very eminent person in our midst, the NAAC advisor, Dr. B.S. Ponmudiraj, the academic advisor to NAAC. He is a very important person as far as NAAC is concerned. A very distinguished personality who has been associated with NAAC accreditation and the peer review process. Let me introduce Dr. B.S. Ponmudiraj. He has been served as a faculty member in the Christ College, Bangalore, and he has also worked as faculty member in the very prestigious Loyola College, Chennai. He has been a visiting faculty to the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Institute of Textile Management, Coimbatore. He has 28 years of teaching and educational and administrative experience. His special interests are training of assessors for quality assurance and quality literacy. He has published widely and extensively in journals and articles, and he has also published various books. He has been associated with an international research project. Ponmudiraj sir has been a resource person for many seminars, conferences, and he has been a speaker for almost, a resource person for almost most of these seminars organized in the southern region of the NAAC. He has published reports on higher education on specific areas, and he has visited more than 350 colleges and universities in India. He has visited the United Kingdom, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Thailand, Australia, Cambodia, France, Belgium, and Nepal in connection with quality assurance. He has undergone training in Australia for quality assurance peer review and visited many Australian universities also. He is an international expert and a chairman of the accreditation committee for the Department of Architecture, American International University, Bangladesh, Dhaka. He has also been in the accreditation committee of many colleges in Nepal, a very reputed person. So Bishop Moore College is very privileged to have you as a guest in this valedictory function. We are extremely grateful to you for your presence and for taking time from your very busy schedule to, it shows the interest and your how much concern you have for quality, sir. We are very heartily, Bishop Moore College very heartily and warmly welcomes Dr. B.S. Ponmudiraj to this valedictory function. We also have very important guests participating in this program. We have principals, IQAC coordinators, and faculty members from various parts of the country. More than 140 participants were there from yesterday. I think only today there was a small reduction in the number. So we are extremely happy to welcome all the participants to this valedictory function. I also take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Lynette Joseph, who is intending to present a report of the program. I also welcome Dr. Nair Anup Chandrasekharan, who is proposing the vote of thanks, and all the NAAC committee, the IQAC committee members of Bishopmore College, and all the faculty members of Bishopmore College. Once again, I welcome each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Dr. Jacob Chandy, the principal of the college, to deliver the presidential address.
Respected Chief Guest of the day, Professor B.S. Ponmudi Raj, Advisor to NAAC, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham, Dr. Leonard Joseph, Dr. Nair Anup Chandrasekharan, dear participants from all over India, my dear colleagues. Fruitful and successful completion of an event will give the organizers a great satisfaction. Today I am in such a mood. Every event is actually a learning experience. We can understand the strength and weakness of our own system by evaluating the entire process through which the event was conducted. I sincerely congratulate the IQAC team of Bishopmore College for organizing such a wonderful program under the leadership of its coordinator, Dr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham and his team. My sincere welcome and thanks to Dr. Ponmudi Raj, who is giving the keynote address in this program. Teaching is a noble act which gives the stimulus to the psychological and intellectual growth of a person by another person. It is like a metamorphosis in biology. It gives transformation. Teaching is an art, at the same time science. The creation of a learning experience is also very important to a learner and a teacher. The learning environment must be safe and welcoming. A sense of belongingness among the students is necessary. A trust between the teacher and the student, and willingness and freedom in the students to ask questions. An environment that encourages the students to take risks. All these will bring in a positive environment in your classroom, which will result in good outcome. In the higher education system, research is an inevitable ingredient. Equip the learner to have a research-oriented approach in everything. I am very happy to see that this national seminar is coming to a conclusion, which is benefiting the teaching community. I hope that the two-day workshop is benefited to all the participants who attended diligently in this entire program. I wholeheartedly thank the NAAC for enabling us to conduct this exercise by sponsoring the program. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I now invite our chief guest of the day, Dr. Ponmudi Raj B.S., to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you, Dr. Divya. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are. Yes.
Dr. Jacob Chandy? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, you are audible. You are audible, sir.
Is it audible? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jacob Chandy, the principal of the college, and Dr. Divya for the introduction, and Dr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham, the IQAC coordinator, learned principals, faculty members from universities, colleges, as well as from other faculty, IQAC coordinators. And I thought I'll just give you a couple of I don't take much of your time, but I heard that yesterday there were 120 people. Today you're 80 people. That shows the success. And Dr. Jacob Chandy was talking about the metamorphosis of teaching learning process. So when the NAAC sponsored seminar workshop on teaching, learning and research, when you talk about, thanks to the organizers for inviting me for this valedictory function and people who are watching on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook Live, as well as in other platforms, as well as in the Zoom platform. Now I have 2-3 announcements to make. Just a minute, 1 minute. Sumas. Oh, sorry for that interruption. And when you talk about a couple of announcements, I said, please go through the website of NAAC. And I want all accredited institutions to apply for 3 times NAAC sponsored seminar like this within the accreditation period of 5 years. Please apply again and again. You can get 1 time we give NAAC sponsored money with money, 2 times we give without money. You can use our logo. Our logo is also patented now. When you get NAAC sponsored seminar with money, without money, we give some guidelines about usage of our logo. Don't repeatedly use in your letterhead, in your website, as well as in your departmental letter, departmental website, and your visiting card. So there are restrictions. You understand that. So I thought I'll make this first announcement to disseminate. Very important. We want all colleges to organize these type of webinars, seminars, conferences, symposias, dual mode, hybrid mode, virtual mode, face-to-face, all. Now, COVID people, normalcy is returning. We will follow the government protocols, COVID protocols. Second is, I want you to closely watch the website of NAAC regarding AQAR, Annual Quality Assurance Reports of 13,000 accreditation of all the colleges and universities accredited right from 1994, 16 September, when we have established till date. We are in the 28th year. Please submit your AQAR without missing any information as per the new format and online submission. And when the options are given to edit, you edit it and resubmit it. Once you submit, I have an acknowledgement of AQAR. AQAR is going to play a very, very important role. This was the first important thing NAAC initiated in 1994. Quality is internal. It should be internally built. Now, third point which I want to tell is, please download the recent manuals. If you're an affiliated college, autonomous college, UG college, you're a university, your Sanskrit college, UG Law College, PG Law College, University, Law University, Sanskrit University, Sanskrit Open University, State University, Open Universities, different manuals. You're an Ayush Coil, Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Homeopathy, your College of Dance, Music, Specialized, we have separate manuals. Please download the correct manual and the updated manual. When the IQAC has to be aware. Very important point on our website, please closely watch the new happenings we have put. Now there is a concept called provisional accreditation. It is on the website of NAAC. We have asked around some 20 questions. Any college can apply and get immediately provisional accreditation. I urge the university, state government officials to organize more help. And Bishop Murray College, Mavalikara, you must also help other colleges to get accredited. Come for full accreditation. In between, there's a concept called provisional accreditation, so that all colleges in India get accreditation. We made it easy. We have not made the quality simple without compromising on quality. Some 20 questions, so it is able to very easy method. You be an expert, help other colleges, and very important, other colleges as a kind of an extension activity, not otherwise, not doing consultation and people earning revenue out of it. Immediately we see a lot of things and on these areas. Anyhow, have to reach out and help our neighboring colleges so that all the rural, tribal, government aided, unaided colleges get accredited, all colleges. So this is a very important announcement I'm making. Please go through just 20 questions on accreditation so that all colleges can get accredited. It is valid for 2 years. Again, you can apply and get for 2 years. All accredited colleges who don't have valid accreditation also can apply and then come for the next cycle. Or immediately you can come for the next cycle. Finally, you have to prepare for the full accreditation. So please go through the concept. My next announcement or sharing will be, we have come with an affiliated college manual with the number of metrics is reduced. Earlier it was 176, then it was 112, 123, now 96 questions. What you have been deliberating 2 days. Now it has been reduced very well to 55, 60 questions, metrics. So some are combined, some are deleted, some are merged. You must also think and give your feedback. Why NAAC is asking these type of questions? Why it is there? Why is this data template? Whether it reflects quality. Give us your feedback, positive feedback. Okay, these are the things I thought I'll talk to you regarding a kind of an announcement or messages for people who are the coordinators, principals of other colleges, and people who are live. We congratulate once again on this valedictory address, Bishop Moore College, Mavalikara, and all the colleges. Please come out with the beautiful proceedings with paper publications, with completely running plagiarism software, and all the proceedings and recommendations in a beautiful form, so that it is useful and helpful for others. Now, when you talk about teaching learning, we pray God that this COVID situation is outside the whole world, planet. Given the situation of November 2019 reported by Wuhan and Government of India reporting on March 24, 2020, we know lockdown 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, unlock 1.0, 3.0, 4.0, second wave, third wave, Omicron, Delta variant. Everybody knows about it. Now, Commonwealth of Learning has come out with a lot of, innovative practices of teaching learning pedagogy. Dr. Jacob Chandy was talking about metamorphosis, was using a scientific terminology in the art of teaching, the arts of science and the science of arts. Pedagogy of teaching, whether E is equal to MC square, A plus B whole square, hypotenuse, or a microeconomic theory, sitting before a camera, how do you teach? Sitting in a web, looking at the mobile, how do you make small games, small quiz? How do you make the 74 fellows are there or not? How? Because I don't see the videos except some 2, 3 people. I don't see any videos. Only photos are there. I do not know whether the student is listening or not. I do not know what he or she is doing. And we do not know the dress code. We do not know what's happening. We all seen the school children. We have seen enough of WhatsApp messages and other things, what's coming. And people do not know how to share the screens. We know Zoom, we do not know Cisco WebEx, we do not know other platforms, Google Hangouts or Microsoft Teams. As a teacher, how good you are in learning, delivery, very important. These are all important mechanisms. We cannot have a training for this. Please go through a document called on Commonwealth of Learning. On pedagogy, on COVID situation, people have come out with this. Government of India has come out with a beautiful publication by the UGC Guru Daksha on the UGC academic staff colleges and UGC HRDCs. And the NCERT, National Council for Educational Research Training, Government of India, Ministry of Education, has come out with a beautiful document. for teaching. So this is very important because we have just plunged into the water. We have to swim. So how we are swimming is very important. How we are, how we are going to swim across, especially the children. 2 years, they have not seen a botany lab, chemistry lab, biochemistry lab, or a plant physiology, or a biotechnology, medical microbiology. All within the system, the best how we can deliver. We can always debate which is better. Face-to-face is better, dual mode is better, hybrid is better, virtual is better. All we can debate. But given the situation of COVID, Omicron, all this situation, how the teachers are equipped for learning, relearning, unlearning. Teaching is a pedagogy, pedagogical sciences. So whatever the subject you're teaching, BSc, MSc, MPhil, PhD, DSc, DLit, you're a student. And a teacher is a teacher. How do you deliver? How do you make them understand? How do you talk about revised Bloom's taxonomy? How do you talk about creation? How do you do POs, PEOs, outcomes to get matched? Unit outcomes, course outcomes, module outcomes. How do you get matched? How do you do the mapping? How do you do the rubrics? No, sir, we simply put tick, tick. Because NAAC is asking, we are doing it. Because the NBA is asking. How many people understand the rubrics? What is a program educational objective? Program specific outcomes, program outcomes, course outcomes. How do you match? No, sir, Mahatma Gandhi University, we are not an autonomous college. University is given the syllabus. So what? As a teacher, have we developed all these things? Or we just wait for the boards of studies, academic council, controller of examinations to give this? So these are when you talk about teaching pedagogy, this is very important. Now, evaluation is inbuilt, assessment is inbuilt, attainment is inbuilt. All these you would have deliberated 2 days with paper presentation and with enough resource persons on this. So my main focus on this valedictory is teachers have to undergo a continuous, no, sir, next, in another 1.5 years, I'm going to retire. And I have my post-retirement plans. Don't disturb me. This can be a good attitude also. I have no problem. But as long as you're a teacher, you're a lifelong learner. Till death, till death. This is called a vocation by itself. We call Rabbi, Rabboni, Guru in Latin, Greek, and as well as whatever you call. So we have to transmit the knowledge, make them to understand, learn how to learn. So thanks for this wonderful word, Dr. Jacob talked about metamorphosis, metanoia, we call it. A radical change, a big change we talk about. So please keep this in mind, all the teachers, young teachers, middle level people about to retire, retired teachers, and the people who are watching live. So with this, once you do this, then we'll talk about documentation, how to document. You say you're a good teacher. What is the proof? Government asks for proof of evidence. We don't believe anything. How do I know he's a good teacher? How do I know Divya is a good compere? She's a master of the ceremony. She's announcing, or she's giving introduction, or you're conducting a cultural program, a NSS blood donation camps, a co-curricular, extracurricular, or sports or a cultural activity. How professionally you do it. What is the proof of the document? What is the time management between the first event and the second event? No, sir, I do my BSc mathematics, I go home. That is good, fine. You organize a volleyball tournament. How professional you are in organizing a volleyball tournament. Quality is in details. Everything comes, you can put everything under NAAC, you can put nothing under NAAC also. So when you talk about quality as an intrinsic ability of the internal quality assurance, the IQAC, each departments, the management, the alumni, all put together plays a role. Everybody has a part in teaching learning. Now coming to the research, because your topic talks about research. How good is your PhD? How good is your DSc DLit? After PhD, we call LKG in research. You have to start your research career. Are you publishing at least 2 papers? Nowadays, BSc students are publishing. BA political sciences, BA students are publishing papers. Why don't we have the habit of writing? Write an article in newspaper. You're a political scientist, you're a sociologist on vulnerable geography, vulnerable economics. Why don't people basic LSRW skills? Why don't we teach our children on writing articles in magazines, then research journals? especially with UGC Care or Scopus or Thomson and Reuters. Then you can talk about citation, H-index, I-index, Google Scholar. First, start publishing. If there are 6,000 students in your college, every year, 12,000 papers can come out. Not to compete with NAAC. Tomorrow, NAAC will say there is no weightage for publication. Then don't stop publication. You do the activities as a college, what we are expected to do for the country as a nation building exercise. His Excellency, the former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, talks about PURA, providing urban facilities to rural areas. What are the facilities the management is giving? We do not want 100 rooms to be smart rooms. If you are there, it's fine. Keep 2 rooms. On rotation basis, is it maximum optimally utilized? You have 1 volleyball court. Whether it is fully utilized? Optimum utilization. So when you talk about management, when you talk about pumping in money, when you talk about infrastructure, when you talk about environment consciousness, when you talk about green audit, all these, whatever it is, tomorrow these questions are there, tomorrow those questions are not there. So you will forget, no, NAAC old methodology asks this, new methodology, no questions. Let us not do it. Is that the attitude? So this is an attitudinal framework of quality. So this is the few messages I thought I will share with you. We are also learning. NAAC is also learning continuously on the manuals, on the AQAs, on making the life simple for the teachers as well as IQAC. So especially on research, or all the teachers are having educational qualifications. No, sir, UGC set, state government set, SET set, net is there. No, sir, we have PhD, we don't have net. So are we trying all the teachers to write net? No, sir, net is tough, PhD is easy. Sir, PhD is tough, net is easy, set is easy, sir. This debate goes on. I have seen enough colleges, enough teachers are motivated about retirement writing net examination, set examination, just to keep themselves aware. I saw one biotechnology teacher writing GATE biotechnology. I asked, why you're writing GATE? You're a teacher, you're an aided teacher, you're already everything. No, sir, I wanted to keep myself, abreast. So people do all these things. They prepare. Some people keep on preparing, like preparing a class. Nowadays, people say, no, sir, now it is not possible. Age bar is there. I'm not allowed for net set and GATE biotechnology. I'm not allowed. So these are the competitive examinations. I have seen one person going for interview till end. I said, when you will settle in your life? He says, I am going to every interview to prove that I am capable of getting an appointment order. I said, don't do that, because so many youngsters want a job. You're going and getting an appointment order and you're not joining that firm or college. No, sir, I want to keep abreast of my personal interview techniques. A teacher sharing all these things to me. So how good are your teachers? Very important. I'm posing a question. I'm not putting you all down. This is a self-reflection, retreat, recollection, so that you develop yourself, your IQAC, your teaching learning, your pedagogy, your research. We have enough project works. Why can't the project works come as a small monograph, a small publication from the college itself? Run the plagiarism software and check how many people are copying or not copying. Similarity checks. Turn the children. So when you talk about NEP, also people talk about these are the values enshrined. Constitutional values, human values. How do you teach love? How do you teach forgiveness? In a classroom, these are all enshrined. Constitutional values, universal values, human values. How do you teach in a moral instruction class, or what class you can take? Or in a BCom class, can you teach this in a small crash course of 30 credits, 40 hours, 60 hours? Because NAAC is asking certificate courses, diploma, pre-diploma, advanced diploma, postgraduate diploma, minimum certificate should be 30 hours. Tomorrow we'll say 60 hours. Then everybody will keep 60 hours. Teachers should know for this course how many hours you need to complete for that credit or a non-credit. So these are the things I wanted to share with you in this valedictory. Let us not call it valedictory address, because it is not an end by itself. We will continue the journey. And I just request everybody to participate in ABC, Academic Bank of Credits, participate in the National Academic Depository, all the certificates, 10th, 12th, as far as possible, try to participate in all the activities of the UGC, Ministry of Education, the schemes, including the NIRF ranking, and give your feedback, give all your feedbacks to them also, to us also. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and for this wonderful opportunity I've given. Hope I have not taken much of your time. Thank you all the participants, principals, coordinators, youngsters, people who are on live with YouTube, Facebook, Twitter on this platform, as well as the organizers and the principal, Jacob Chandy Saab. Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you, sir.
Divya, I was audible. I was audible.
Yes, sir, you were audible. You're audible. And thank you very much for that very motivating keynote address. And thank you for the fact that you reminded us to keep the basics, to always learn and relearn and unlearn. And I just hope the passion with which you just carried your message, we can also carry it in our work. Thank you very much for such an insightful keynote address. Thank you once again, sir. I welcome Dr. Lynette Joseph, convener of the seminar, convener of the online workshop, to present the report of the online workshop. Lynette, ma'am.
Okay, respected principal of the college, Dr. Jacob Chandy sir, advisor of NAAC, Dr. B.S. Ponmudiraj, vice principal and IQAC coordinator, Dr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham, co-convener of the program, Dr. Nair Anup Chandrasekharan, respected participants and faculty members and dear friends. Let me present the brief report of this NAAC-sponsored National Workshop on Teaching, Learning and Evaluation, Research in the Perspective of NAAC RAF. So let's, I'm sharing a presentation.
Is it shared? Presentation is shared now.
Okay. The motivation behind organizing this national workshop was to provide a platform to make teachers and academicians aware of the opportunities and challenges of the changing educational sector, with special emphasis on the development of new teaching, learning, and evaluation strategies consistent with the revised NAAC accreditation framework. The workshop was designed to have the following outcomes: to analyze the metrics of NAAC revised accreditation framework and the standard operation procedures related to each criterion. The participants will have an understanding on the key ideas behind outcome-based education and the student-centric methodologies in teaching and learning. The participants will have an understanding of the highlights of National Education Policy 2020 and will recognize the importance of knowledge creation and research in growing and sustaining a large and vibrant economy and uplifting the society, as well as its impact on NAAC RAF. 237 participants registered for the workshop, out of which 78 participants were from out of the state. The workshop was comprised of an inaugural session, 6 lecture sessions, and the valedictory sessions, which is going on now. The workshop was inaugurated by Professor Dr. Gabriel Simon Thattil, Dean of Commerce and IQAC Director of University of Kerala, on 14 February 2022 at 10 a.m. Professor Dr. Gabriel Simon Thattil detailed on the challenges faced by the higher education sector in India, especially after the implementation of the National Education Policy 2020. The inaugural session was presided over by the principal of the college, Dr. Jacob Chandy. IQAC coordinator of the college, Dr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham, delivered the welcome address, and convener of the workshop, Dr. Lynette Joseph, proposed the vote of thanks. The first lecture session of the workshop was on the topic Innovations and Best Practices in Teaching and Learning by Professor Dr. Gabriel Simon Thattil. The session dealt with the innovative practices and best practices as required by Criterion 2 of NAAC RAF. He discussed on how to adapt ourselves to changing educational scenario, how to make teaching learning processes effective, and how to find and implement innovations and best practices in teaching learning. The session was chaired by Dr. Ashish Verghese, and Dr. Nair Anup Chandrasekharan proposed the vote of thanks. The second lecture session of the day one was by Dr. Sunil C. Matthew, Principal of Devamada College, Kurvilangad, on the topic Research, Extension and Infrastructure, NAAC RAF Perspective. The metric-wise details of Criterion 3 and 4, with special mention on the standard operation procedures, were discussed in the session. The session was chaired by Dr. Vidhu Vijay, and Ms. Linda E. Jacob proposed the vote of thanks for the session. The last session of day 1 was the poster presentation, oral presentation session. The session witnessed presentations of 13 papers based on innovative and relevant ideas on various topics, including best practices, innovations, national education policy, outcome-based education, NEP metrics of RAF, skill-based education and higher education sector in India. The session was chaired by Dr. Precia Princi-Paulus. The first session of the second day of the workshop was on the topic Curricular Aspects, NAAC RAF Perspective, which was delivered by Dr. R. Shelvam, consultant for NAAC accreditation process and external academic auditor. The resource person discussed in detail on curricular aspects in the NAAC RAF point of view and how to design certificate courses effectively, how to ensure student participation in certificate courses, and also he detailed on the standard operation procedures of Criterion 1, its do's and don'ts, etc. The session was chaired by Mr. Rahul Jacob Kurula and Dr. Deepa Thomas proposed the vote of thanks. The resource person for the next session of day 2 was Dr. Usha Nair, UGC Paramash Coordinator, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Hindi, St. Teresa's College, Ernakulam. The topic for the session was the role of HEI, higher education institutions, in student support and progression. The resource person discussed in detail on the various student support mechanisms, how to track the student progression with proper documentation, student support and progression in the NAAC RAF point of view, and standard operation procedures of Criterion 5. The session was chaired by Dr. Nairanu Chandrasekharan and Ms. Rekha Rose Koshi proposed the vote of thanks. The third session of day 2 was on the topic Governance and Leadership, Key Aspects, which was led by Father Dr. Gigi Thomas, NAAC Visit Coordinator, Accreditation Ambassador and Dean of Studies, Marvanis College, Tirunelveli. The resource person discussed on the NAAC RAF-based approach on governance and leadership in higher education institutions, SOPs on various metrics of Criterion 6 in detail, and the need for institutional strategic plans. The session was chaired by Mr. Rahul Jacob Kurula and Dr. Divya S. proposed the vote of thanks. The last lecture session of the workshop was on the topic Innovations and Best Practices, NAAC RAF Perspective, which was led by Dr. Ann Baby, Assistant Professor of Computer Science, Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, Ernakulam. The session covered discussions on inculcating value in students, promoting the use of technology, importance to marginalized, and the SOPs related to Criterion 7. The session was chaired by Ms. Naren George. All the lecture sessions were followed by an interaction session. And now finally, we are in the valedictory session of the workshop, which is blessed with the presence of the advisor of NAAC, Dr. B.S. Panmudi. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us in this valedictory session and for your informative words on NAAC AQAR processes, as well as for your enlightening words on teaching, learning, and especially on research. We acknowledge the financial and academic support sanctioned by NAAC. We also acknowledge the specialized lectures by all the resource persons. We thank the principal of our college, Dr. Jacob Chandy, IQAC coordinator, Dr. Ranjit Natty Abraham, all participants, organizing committee members, and faculty members. We are sure all the participants benefited a lot from this workshop in their understanding of NAAC, of National Education Policy 2020, as well as in their understanding of the NAAC RAF. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vinit. Now we move on to the feedback session. And I invite Dr. C. Tilaganandan, Principal, Nehru Law Academy, to share his valuable feedback regarding the two-day online workshop. Over to you, sir.
Sir, please unmute.
Sir, you can unmute.
Yes, yes. Okay. No, it's okay. Thank you, madam. And respected residents of the function, Mr. Principal, and most respected Chief Guest of the Day, the NAAC advisor. Today, all the other participants, all the guests, and everybody, good evening to all. And in these days, you know that all the higher education institutions in the country are hectic and they are very much seriously engaged in the NAAC accreditation process. So in such a juncture, the Bishop Moore's College took a great initiative. So this is an outstanding institution with the story. It has a story to tell for more than 5 decades. Such a great institution has taken a great initiative in organizing such a national level workshop on NAAC accreditation process. And all the organizers were keen in selecting the resource persons. And all the sessions were excellent, vibrant sessions, and highly informative. And even the validity section itself, that session itself was great. And so it was a really great academic feast. And apart from all these things, so we are going to get the uploaded versions and for a continuous learning and for a continued learning. And if there are any doubts, so we will get that opportunity to learn it again and again and understand, clear the doubts. And in all these ways, this program was great. And so we know that it is because of the technological advantage that we got as a result of this corona pandemic. And that has become a blessing in disguise. And we all became very adaptive and adaptable. And so we adapted to that new technology. And so we are utilizing all these things. And anyhow, I'm very much thankful to the organizers for giving such a wonderful opportunity. And I'm from Nehru Academy of Law, and it is part of Nehru Group of institutions. And some of our institutions have already secured NAAC accreditation. And recently, our engineering college got NAAC A plus 3.18. 3.18. That there is a point. So we got, and we are also in the process of this NAAC accreditation work. And so in such a situation, and this program became very useful for me also. And thank you very much for the organizers once again.
Your kind words of encouragement. Thank you very much. I now invite Mr. Ramesh Koikal from Lovely Professional University, Jalandhar, to share his feedback regarding the online workshop. Ramesh sir, are you there?
Yeah, I'm audible, right?
Yes, sir, you are. Please go on.
All right. So, good afternoon. Thanks for asking me to give a feedback. And it was a very good moment. Actually, I enjoyed because I told you my life was in full of in abroad and into industry. But so over 6-7 years, I'm into teaching, and it was a great opportunity for me to learn so many things. Because always we feel that what we know is the ultimate. But when we go into the next organization and see what is happening, next institutes and universities and colleges, we know actually what are the things what we are missing and what else we have to do it. So I wish Bishop Moore, even though it's very near to my house also, and for this great opportunity, it is very nice. And please organize such workshops and seminars and conference in future so that people can interact with each other and try to understand what are things missing and try to reintroduce themselves and be innovative and give something good for the wards who are coming in the next generation, who are supposed to be the pillars of the India. And we can give the best of what we can give actually. So it's a very good honor for me, and it would have been, actually I had 2 workshops last week also, and I never thought I can be a part of it. And if I would have missed, I think it would have been a loss for me. Right. Thank you so much. It is a short thing because I'm in between my classes. From 1 to 5, I have a class that's going on. So that's why, but thanks for asking me. And to all dignitaries, all scholars, and it was a nice moment. Very good. and I appreciate it. Thanks from heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your words of appreciation, and we are extremely grateful that you actually took some time for us. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much. My problem. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. If anyone else wants to give a feedback, he or she is welcome to do so. Please raise your hand in case if you want to give a feedback regarding the workshop that was conducted.
Ma'am, may I?
Sure, sir, please.
Thank you. Respected all the dignitaries, Honorable Sir, each celebrity, all participants. I am Anil Patil from Pune. Well, I just want to say thank to the organizers for organizing this really useful workshop, because the way they conducted the workshop while organizing, it is really a lot of pain we have to take. And obviously, the organizers selected the resource people, and they were legendary people. All of them engaged all the participants with a lot of information, and obviously their knowledge, their experience, they said through the presentations, through the discussion, and they are surely the knowledge, the information is surely going to help each participant in the documentation, in the planning to get things done for NAAC. Not only the resource people, the participants, the presenters who presented their papers during the paper presentation were of course very good, and that session also was of course useful. Such kind of programs are necessary to keep the participants or teachers updated, and that is the gist of, I think, that is very necessary. We of course think that we need to assess our students. Continuous assessment is necessary, but I believe there should be continuous assessment and updation of knowledge of our teachers also. And obviously this program worked in that direction. Thank you so much, madam, for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It is indeed a very happy moment even for us to know that the workshop was beneficial to all the participants. Thank you very much for sharing your feedback. If there's anyone else who would like to share the feedback. In that case, I assume that we just have 3 feedback for the session. Thank you very much indeed, 3 of you. We move on to the last part of the valedictory session. And for the same, I invite Dr. Nair Anup Chandrasekharan, the co-convener of the National Online Workshop and Assistant Professor from the Department of English, to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, Anup, sir.
Thank you, Divya, ma'am. Respected keynote speaker of the session, Dr. B.S. Ponmudi Raj, Advisor, NAAC Bangalore, Principal of the College, Dr. Jacob Chandy, Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham, the convener of the seminar, Dr. Lynette Joseph, resource persons, participants, a very good afternoon to all of you. Bringing down the curtains on something that has been excellent. I say it's excellent, even though there has been a slight fall from 150 odd to 90, because there has been elections, college union elections declared by the University of Kerala in 151 colleges across the university. So as a result, many teachers have been deputed in election duty. So that's, I suppose that accounts for the dip in numbers today. So anyway, bringing down curtains on something that has been excellent is always a painful thing to do. However, goodbyes are a reality of life, and I have been assigned the task of bidding farewell, as well as the responsibility of expressing gratitude on behalf of Bishopur College to all those who played a role in ensuring the success of this 2-day NAAC-sponsored national workshop, teaching, learning, and research in the perspective of NAAC RAF. I should say that the energy and the scholarship of the resource persons and the enthusiasm of the participants have ensured that we have more than achieved what we had set out to achieve when we had conceptualized a workshop of this kind. This is a NAAC-sponsored workshop, so I begin by thanking NAAC for the sponsorship, and simultaneously, I express my gratitude to Dr. B.S. Ponmudiraj, sir, advisor, NAAC Bangalore, who was gracious enough to take time off from his hectic schedule and offer us the important instructions that he gave in the keynote address for the session. Thank you so much, sir, for that erudite address and all those points that you have asked us to remember and implement. We shall surely do so. I'm sure that we would continue to receive such support from your side and from NAAC in future too. One talk that we were looking forward to was by Professor Sabu Thomas, the Vice Chancellor, MG University, Kottayam. However, COVID had other plans and he became indisposed. We wish him a speedy recovery and pray for his good health and thank him for agreeing to be a part of our program. No words of gratitude can be enough for Professor Dr. Gabriel Simon Tuttle, the IQAC Director and the Dean of Commerce, University of Kerala, who in the absence of Professor Sabu Thomas kindly consented to inaugurate the seminar and offer the inaugural address, while also offering the first invited talk as was earlier scheduled. Subsequently, we had Dr. Sunil C. Matthew, Principal, Devmata College, Dr. R. Selvam, Consultant for NAAC Accreditation Process and External Academic Auditor, Dr. Usha Nair, UGC Parmesh Coordinator, Associate Professor and Head of the Department Hindi, St. Teresa's College, Ernakulam, Father Dr. Gigi Thomas, NAAC Visit Coordinator, Accreditation Ambassador and Dean of Studies, Madhavinas College, Trivandrum, and Dr. Anne Baby, Assistant Professor of Computer Science, Rajgiri College of Social Sciences, Ernakulam, who, with their very vibrant and informed presentations, added to the richness of the workshop and led the audience to a better clarity and a better awareness of the topic under discussion. On behalf of Bishopur College and on my own behalf, I thank them all for their contribution. I thank all those who contributed scholarly papers and made presentations during the paper presentation session. It was indeed an enriching experience listening to the scholars from across the country. I thank all the participants from across the length and the breadth of the country, from Haryana to Assam to Tamil Nadu and all over Kerala. Without you, this workshop would never have been possible. Thank you so much. We do not need to thank our family members, but for the sake of formality that the occasion demands, I thank the head of the family, the principal of our college, Dr. Jacob Chandy, who leads by example and as a true leader should. It is during his dynamic tenure that the college has achieved several milestones, be it the A grade in NAAC and SAC, being ranked among the top 100 colleges in the country in the NIRF ranking, or being placed in the performer band in ERA ranking 2021. Thank you, sir, for being there for us. While Dr. Jacob Chandy was the principal, Dr. Ranjit Matthew Abraham was the IQAC coordinator, and it is their teamwork that has done wonders for the college. Ranjit, sir, who is also the vice principal of the college, has relentlessly worked for the betterment of Bishopur College. The leader in him is most visible in the way that he trusts his team and thus has been able to get them to match his pace in doing good for the college. This workshop wouldn't have been possible without his visionary approach. Thank you, sir. Dr. Lynette Joseph, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, is the convener of this national workshop. I have always admired her for her commitment to whatever she does. The way that she invested her time and energy for this workshop has contributed a lot for its success. Thank you, ma'am. I thank the anchor of this session, Dr. Divya from the Department of English. I thank the IQAC members of Bishopur College, who are all now charged up, I believe, after this workshop to get an even better rank for the college when we go for NAAC reaccreditation next year. I thank all the teaching and non-teaching members of Bishopur College family and all those who I haven't named, but who have contributed to making this two-day national workshop a resounding success. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Anu. Thank you, Dr. B.S. Panmudiraj. Your presence indeed was very, very inspiring for us. Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time. Thank you once again on behalf of the college and the IQs.
Thank you, Dr. Anup.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I thank all the participants who made the online workshop a success. Thank you all once again and have a nice day. Thank you very much, and you can leave the meeting. Thank you.
All the feedback links have been posted, and hope all have submitted the data for the certificates. Your certificates will be issued within 4 to 5 days. Thank you all.